So, you just got some cash, or you've got some cash laying around, and you want to invest in the crypto market, but you have no idea where to begin, right? Maybe you don't know anything about crypto, maybe it's something totally new to you. You, along with a lot of other people who are starting to hear about it constantly, and they're trying to learn more about it, it's a big question, you know, like what do you invest in when everything seems like it's just gone straight up? Obviously, today we can see, based on my screen on the right side there, it's a sea of red. It's a big pullback day on the crypto market, but what do we do? How do we invest in things? How do we find projects and things that I want to invest in for the long run rather than just short-term gains? A nice little short-term opportunity is totally different than something that I'm going to be holding on to for the next 15 years. So the way that we need to kind of approach this is analyzing what our best options are at the time and what is going on around the world of crypto. Are there governments that are pushing back against it? Are there countries that are trying to get it banned again? You know, what is the geopolitical climate around crypto? And with that in mind, we have to also take into account the underlying patterns of what we've seen historically. Generally speaking, markets and humans are repetitive in nature, whether they want to realize it or not, or whether they want to accept it or not. That's how things work, right? That's how patterns work. That's how trade patterns work. It's because you can count on them. So when we have a situation of, let's say, okay, well, I've got a couple $1,000s and I want to invest it, where do I put it? Well, first off, the one big thing is we need to find a base point, right? What is going to be the base market in terms of how we're investing this, and what is our primary market going to be? Is it going to be backed in Bitcoin? Do we want a primary market, or do we want it fully diversified across? How do we want this set up? Now, for me, the way that I have mine structured is a little bit different because I am a huge believer in the Crypto.com platform. So mine's going to look a little bit askew here. Okay, here we go. So as a quick example, let's say we have a $3,000 investment that we want to put to work. Well, first off, there are a few things to understand about crypto. There's a lot of ways to invest, okay? It's not just DeFi. It's not just farming. It's not just staking. It's all of the above. And that's the beautiful thing about this, because we can really diversify this in any way that we want. This is a simple calculation where, as an example, if there was a $3,000 investment, I like utilizing stablecoin allocations because stablecoins offer really, really appealing APY without the setbacks of all of the ups and downs of the crypto market. Sure, there are still things that can happen to USDT if Tether were to go down, or if USDC were to go down. You get the idea. Nothing is without risk here, obviously. But when we're looking at stablecoin allocations, out of all of the risks, that's not really one that I'm necessarily considering too high up on the risk chain. So the nice thing about stablecoin allocations is that we can dedicate, I like looking at it at about 25% of the investment amount would be into stablecoin allocations that you can place in high yield or high earning accounts. Crypto.com, as an example, has an earn function, and if you put the earn function towards USDC or USDT, it just sits there earning 6%, and you can withdraw it whenever you want or whenever you need to use it. So it's a really good example of how you can let that just sit, but it's still working, right? Now, another option would be utilizing that USDC or USDT, that stablecoin allocation, and putting it in Nexo. And with Nexo or any of the other major borrowing platforms, you can borrow against your allocation, the same you would with all the other major ways that you would make money, I guess. But think insurance plans as an example. You buy the lifetime insurance plans, you borrow against them. This is the same concept. Your investment is still stored away in USDC. It's earning, I think with Nexo, it's 8%. And then you can also borrow against it while it's still earning. What an incredible function, right? Or if you wanted to keep your Bitcoin in there, you get the idea. So a stablecoin allocation to me is something that's very useful because it's something that's liquid and I can use very quickly if I need to. If I need to get a hold of some cash and I'm at the store and I don't have anything else, I can transfer some on my crypto card and then we're good to go, right? So having USDC stablecoin allocations easily accessible, super handy. Like I said, I'm a big supporter of Crypto.com and the whole Crow platform. So outside of the stablecoin allocation, I like dedicating at least 15% of the investment towards crypto and the Crow DeFi platform as a whole, because I personally believe that the crypto coin and the Crow coin in and of itself within the next 5 years could easily be worth $20 to $100. So the fact that Crow coin right now, as you can see up right here, is trading at 63 cents, that's very interesting to me, right? So I have a very large portion of that dedicated to Crypto.com and Crow and the VVS Finance Farm, which is part of Crypto.com. It's part of the Kronos bridge. You'd have to kind of dig into that to understand what I'm talking about, but it's part of the Crow platform. So when you bridge those two together, really it's 15% and another 7.5%. There's a big allocation to Crow in one way or another because I'm a huge believer of it. Now, along with that, we can't knock granddaddy Bitcoin, right? That's the all-time head honcho of crypto. That is, it's like the S&P when it comes to the indexes. That is the major coin that everybody's going to track. And if there is going to be a major adoption, chances are it's going to be Bitcoin, right? That's the big one. Now, if it's not going to be Bitcoin, it's probably going to be Bitcoin Cash or some variation of Bitcoin. And that's kind of the concept here of having a little bit of a larger allocation into Bitcoin is something of interest to me. I like holding about 7.5% towards Bitcoin just because it is something that is going to be largely useful regardless of the situation. Now from there we can cycle down a little bit further. I've got Bitcoin Cash, Lumens, EOS, BAT, Cake, Sand, Gala, Mana, and ETH. And each of these have their own reasons as to why they're on this list, and there are definitely a lot of other coins of interest. These are the ones that kind of pique my interest, but Bitcoin Cash is one that I'm going to be 100%. I have not been a big fan of Bitcoin Cash. I've pushed back against Bitcoin Cash for a very long time because I wasn't a huge fan of Roger Ver. I'm not going to lie, I'll be 100%. I wasn't a huge fan of Roger Ver and the way that he was handling things. I think it was very childish, and there was a lot better ways to approach it. So I've never liked Bcash because of that. Now that that kind of spectrum is cleared up a little bit and it's not so bad in terms of the public eye, I think Bitcoin Cash has a very real opportunity to become massively adopted because its fee structure is so incredibly cheap. It's ridiculously cheap and it's super fast. Plus, anybody who's been holding Bitcoin for a long period of time back when they did the Bcash fork already has Bcash probably stored away and sitting there doing nothing anyway, unless they sold it out for Bitcoin. So as far as Bitcoin Cash goes, I mean, that's a logical investment to me as a more of a cash utility. I kind of view that as the stable coin of Bitcoin, if that makes sense, even though Bcash and the way that it moves is definitely not stable. That thing's all over the place. But I do think that it deserves a place on the list, even though I have publicly not been a huge fan of it. Stellar Lumens Xlm, that's another one that is always on my list with at least 5% allocation, if not maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, somewhere around there. The thing to understand with Lumens is not that its platform is groundbreaking. It's not that they're bringing anything massively new to the table. They definitely can't. They definitely are. There's a lot of development going on with the Lumens side of things. But the reason why I use Lumens, and the reason why a lot of other people that I talk to and a lot of people that we coach and a lot of people that we work with, they use Lumens for the exact same reason, because it's so stupidly cheap to send with, it's so incredibly fast to send with, and I have never, ever once had a problem with Lumens, ever. So because of that, whenever people are generally looking to transfer cash, they're going to use Lumens. So before a large move in the crypto market, you'll notice that Lumens tends to move first. And that's because they're transferring coins with one of the most efficient platforms around, and that would be Lumens in this case. As far as I'm concerned, I use it for a lot of those types of transfers. So again, having a 5% allocation to that because I use it so much is something that's logical for me. Going beyond that, the EOS blockchain, that's another one that I like allocating at least 5% to. And one of the big reasons behind the EOS blockchain and why I like backing it a little bit more is because they have developments like Upland on it and other things that I use, right? These are things, again, that are useful to me, that I find interesting, or that I am already part of. So because of that, the EOS blockchain is very interesting to me, and I like holding a 5% allocation. Now, when I say a 5% allocation to EOS, sometimes that 5% will go into UPX, right? Buying into Upland so I can buy more NFT properties, etc. There's tons of videos that go over Upland, and there's probably going to be a lot more to come. But that's all on the EOS blockchain. It's something that I'm very, very much into, so I like supporting the chain that it's on. That's basically what that comes down to. Basic attention token, BAT. This is the Brave browser. Now, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I am a huge proponent of the Brave browser. What they bring to the table and the fact that you get paid to browse the internet is incredible. Just this year, given BAT has gone up very nicely this year, I've made like 20 or 30 bucks just browsing the internet for doing nothing. So it's incredible. And from their perspective, they're offering a lot of really cool stuff. You can use BAT to donate to people who are developing things. You can donate to websites with it. You can donate to good causes with it. It's an incredible platform. So Basic Attention Token and in the Brave platform in and of itself is one that I definitely like getting involved with. Now this one, if you're following along with the cryptosphere, might be kind of interesting to see on my list because Cake in PancakeSwap as a whole has not been doing very well, and they've been getting kind of pushed down. Here's the thing that I really like about Cake and why I'm backing them at the moment, at least, with a 5% allocation, is really that they're bringing to the table something that DeFi has been sorely missing. And that is a good platform that's easy to use, that is on the phone, that you can use without it crashing or taking 7 centuries to load up. The Cake DeFi app on the phone works really easily. It's super easy to connect to. It's very easy to use. So I think right now PancakeSwap is incredibly underrated and something that could easily lift in value once people start realizing, wait a minute, that's something that I can use easily every day for really massive returns. That's why it's earned a spot on my list. Of course, going into the gaming sector, these are the three. I'm big into gaming. I'm a huge gamer. I'm a giant nerd when it comes to that. I love every amount of it. My son and I game constantly together. My daughter, too. She's got to get in there with the Roblox and all that fun stuff. So this is one that naturally is appealing. Sand, right? Sandbox looks like Roblox, but it's like Roblox with NFTs. It's incredible. And just this past couple months, I mean, they've been going through an incredible amount of growth, explosive growth. Properties in Sandbox have been trading for millions of dollars. It's ridiculous. So that is a huge one that is on my list of one that I am a big fan of. Not only because it has a huge amount of exponential growth potential, but also something that I could easily see myself playing with my son, right? It's usable. It's something that I could play. Same with Gala Games. It's another one that I have an allocation to, about 5%. And with them, it's another game that I play, right? I log into Gala. I play the games on there. They only have one right now with more coming. And those are things that I actually use. And because of that use factor, I find these valuable. And then Decentraland, another gaming platform with another 5% allocation. Just, again, bringing the same thing to the table that the other ones, we've already talked about it. Now, the final one is a little bit of a variable, right? Now, before, Ethereum was huge on my list, right? It's been huge on my list. We've been talking about it for years and years and years that Ethereum could easily overtake Bitcoin if they manage it properly. Here's the thing. Right? I don't know if you've tried to transfer Ethereum at any point recently, but if you want to transfer $100, it's probably going to cost you $200 to send it. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the amount of fees and the fee structures on it, it's gotten too expensive, and it's not adjusting well to the growing pains. I think Ethereum still has a very bright future, obviously. Pretty much every chain is developed on it, so it's a necessary evil at this point, which is also why the fees are so incredibly expensive. But when the fees, if we can start to somehow get those down to, less than 3 times how much you're trying to send, then, I mean, realistically, I just don't necessarily see Ethereum holding a place on my list anymore with a 5% allocation. I just don't see it worthwhile. Back a while ago, that was totally a different story, but they're just not scaling very well as far as I'm concerned from a user's perspective. Maybe internally it's looking different, but for right now, as long as the usability remains as it is, it's basically off my list or with like a 1% allocation because it's, again, a necessary evil. there are a lot of other development chains that could easily earn their place on the list with Ethereum, with Avalanche, AVAX. You've got the ADA platform, ADA, Cardano, all of that. I mean, there's so many different other platforms that could easily take the place of Ethereum now with them scaling so horrendously. There's so many variables. So Ethereum, I just don't see it on my list anymore. This is one that has been a little bit more of a recent swap, but this is kind of an open one. I like taking turns depending on which one we go with. I'll throw some in Avalanche every once in a while, throw some, you get the idea, kind of make it a mixer and rotate around with the investments there. Now again, these are just my personal allocations. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do with your money. I've said that a million times, and I'll say them a million times again. This is just something that I really believe in. These are the platforms that I believe strongly in. Crypto.com. I mean, look, they've got some major actors. They're buying stadiums. It's just absolutely ludicrous. And now, I don't know if you've heard the news or saw the news, but there was an announcement that Crypto.com is buying two different exchanges, Nadex and another one. Well, if you've been around the block with me for a while, you'll know we've used Nadex before for small account challenges and trading and all of that. And now they're bringing Crypto.com. I mean, imagine being able to trade binary options on futures contracts and funding your account with Bitcoin in seconds or minutes, or, it's Bitcoin, maybe an hour. You get the idea. I mean, it's mind-blowing, because before, what were our other options? You can ACH a check, which might, be like a couple days, maybe same day if you're lucky. Otherwise, it's wire, and that's going to be like $30-40. And I mean, at that point, I guess it still beats Ethereum, sure. But, Crypto.com, when they buy out Nadex, then, imagine you can fund your account with your earnings from your DeFi wallet to fund into... Oh man, I get so pumped up when I talk about Crypto.com. That's why it's on my list as a big proponent. And then again, PancakeSwap. The way that it's been going so far has not been the most appealing. The chart looks like hot trash. Not going to lie. If we look at the cake chart, it does not look very appealing at all. It's very near the bottom, and it's not getting better. Again, this is more of a forward-thinking play that I believe Cake does have some potential, and if they can successfully launch this app and get it rolling really well, I think they have a shot. The reason why I don't believe it's taking off right now is because the app's verification process is trash, okay? It takes forever to go through, and they want some crazy things, like take a picture of yourself with this written on a piece of paper, holding your ID with it's insane. So there are some hurdles that they're going to have to work through. And again, the important part that you'll notice here, I'm using these platforms to know what's going on. Right now, they haven't fixed the problem, so I'm not allocating a lot to it. When they start fixing the problem, that percentage could easily jump back up because, again, from a user basis, we have to know what we're investing in. We have to use these platforms. You have to use these products. If we don't know what we're investing in, what's the point, right? We have to know. If we're looking at this from a long-term perspective of growth, we've got to know and use these platforms to understand them, to know that our money is in a valuable location. So that's kind of the way that I break down the investments, regardless of how much it is. This is something that I use on a lot of incoming anything. Whether I run a DoorDash order and that comes in, that's going through this. Hey, $5.75, right? Throw that bad boy in there, and we got another investment layout. You get the idea. Any income that's coming in should have some type of investment strategy associated with it. Thinking ahead. But that's the same mindset. It doesn't have to be thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can also be a few $100s or $20 at a time. It doesn't have to be crazy. It's a beautiful thing about crypto. You can buy it pretty cheap. That's the nice thing about it. You can go into fractions. But that's my overlay and kind of how I look at the markets and how I like long-term investment strategies and how I would look at personally diversifying all of mine when they come in. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I've said it 100 times. I can't tell you what to do with your cash flow. It's up to you. Do your due diligence, right? Understand what you're investing in. That's why I talk so heavily about using these things. The things that I'm putting mine into, I use, right? It's something that I believe in, I understand, and I work with every day or multiple times a day. I've got that long-term faith in it and the hands-on experience, and I know what my money's going towards. If you're just throwing cash at a wall, then, best of luck. And hopefully you hit a dinger, but it's usually a lot more beneficial for the long-term platform to actually use them and understand what they're bringing to the table. Hopefully you find that useful. Hopefully you find that interesting, and maybe something you can add to your tool belt if it's been something that you've been trying to figure out. That's going to do it for this one, though. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. If you're looking to join me in the morning session, YouTube members with the join button underneath, they get to join me every morning in the New York Stock Exchange Open for the first 20 or 30 minutes while we go over our morning prep. And of course, we have a 1-week trial going on in our live trade room. And when you sign up for the trial, you get a 30-minute call so we can talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about, whether it's about joining as a member or any other questions that you have. That's going to do it, though. If you have any questions that I may have missed along the way, feel free to shoot me those via email, jhb@ssftg.com, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.